Favoring, opposed, item carries. Councilmember Brown voting no.
Item 16 is an order.
Discussion. Favoring, opposed, item carries. I'm sorry, Councilmember Brown voting no.
Item 17 is an order.
Discussion. Favoring, opposed, item carries.
Item 18 is an order.
Discussion. Favoring, opposed, item carries.
Okay, that completes the consent agenda. Under the non-consent agenda, item 19 is to set a date to receive nominations. Is there a motion to set the next council meeting?
Move. Second. Discussion. Favoring, opposed, item carries.
Okay, under matter of health, item 20 is an ordinance.
Discussion. Councilmember Adams. Councilmember Browns.
Thank you, Mayor. In a way, I'm leaning towards voting yes on this. I did visit with Craig Mason and Kelly Dow, and they believe that this study will give us numbers that will actually get us an audience with the state legislatures to save our city employees' retirements by changing the structure of the pension plan, which is definitely broken. We already have the numbers from our independent consultant stating that it is a $4.2 billion unfunded liability. The pensions say that these numbers are wrong. Then why are our city pensions plans unwilling to provide us with the correct numbers? What do they have to hide? This is $355,000 on a second set of numbers that are going to be disputed again anyway. Also, as my senior advisor, Bob Moore, others have warned, this actuarial study is an exercise in futility. Since we must move from a defined benefit program to a defined contribution plan. So I need to vote no on this item. Thank you.
Councilmember Brett.
Good morning, thank you, Mayor. I think it's much more complicated than just moving from a defined benefit to a defined contribution plan, but nonetheless, that's worthy of being discussed as well, and many of us have done it for a long period of time. State law requires the city of Houston to hire an independent actuary to perform these particular audits at hand, and there is a question on the table has been a question on the table as it relates to past audits, the credibility of the person of the firm doing the work, as well as the reliability of the data. Now, in order for us not to have that same question lingering when the data is produced this time around, I posed a question regarding whether Retirement Horizon Inc. have been vetted to ensure that there are no conflicts of interest and therefore represents true independence. I think it's important to establish that up front. Let me say on the record that I'm not saying that there is any, it's just that my question hasn't been answered. And I'd hate for us to get down the road and discover that there is some issue concerning the reliability of the data or the credibility of the firm. Each pension fund has a three-component revenue source: the employee contributions, the investment returns, and the city's contributions. It seems to me that independence would mean the work being done or the audit being conducted by someone or a firm that has no connections or relationships with any of the three components that make up the fund. As an example, to be independent, you cannot be connected with the city of Houston because the city of Houston is part of the three-prong component. The city makes a contribution, has something at stake. Then you should be an employee connected to the employees, but the employees are part of the equation, and the firms which the monies or the funds are invested, which garners the return, no one connected to those investment firms should be involved. So the response I got back was that, yes, we are confident that RHI is independent of the pension systems. See, that only satisfies two of the three-prong inquiry. The city makes a contribution, the employees make contributions, and the investment returns. So if it's going to be independent, the firm or the individual doing the audit, my question stands. Has RHI been vetted to ensure that what they bring back to the table will represent true independence, in that their firm or their employees that will do the work are not connected to the city in any shape, form, or fashion? The firms which funds our investment, the investment returns, and the employees. Thank you.
Councilmember, I'm sorry that you didn't get your question fully answered, and the answer is yes, they are independent of the City of Houston employees and the City of Houston, although I think it's a little bit difficult to say they are completely independent of the City of Houston since we are paying them. But there is no connection that I am aware of between any city staffers and that particular firm.
Yeah, well, certainly, just because we are paying them, that doesn't breach the independence model at all. They should be compensated, for the work that they're doing, no doubt about that. But I think that I'd hate to spend the money and get down the road and then we learn, as you said, you have no knowledge, when we could have did the inquiry or vetted the company, we would have known objectively whether it is independence or not.
Councilmember, if you have a specific question, I would ask you to ask it. We have vetted the firm and we believe that there is no conflict of interest.
My specific question is to get a response from the administration on the record that the firm has been vetted and that there is no connection that we're raising impropriety with the employees, because employees are part of the equation, the city makes a contribution, and the investment or return firms where the funds are invested. So when we get down the road, if these issues pop up, at least we have on the record response that it was not known.
There is no known conflict of interest. We have vetted the firm in all areas that we believe would constitute a legal conflict of interest and have found none.
Thank you. I just want to make sure when we get down the road here, we don't spend the money and then questions are raised that we can't legitimately refute if they are raised, that this is a credible firm and the data that they're supplying is reliable. Thank you, Councilman, for your response.
Councilmember Christie.
I just wanted to reiterate that I asked those direct questions, conflict of interest and cost factor, and was very pleased with the answers.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Costello.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to support this item. This item is desperately needed. Just to update my colleagues on the Long-Range Financial Management Task Force, there was extended discussion over this particular issue relative to the sustainability of our pension systems. And no matter which firm we choose to help us in trying to ascertain and try to come up with the right proper numbers that we need, we're going to have objections from the pension systems no matter what. I'm confident that the firm that we're using, Councilmember Bradford, has been fully vetted by the administration. We've used them before. The results were done in the earlier study, which I think was back in 2008, that was acceptable to all pensions, and I'm confident that whatever numbers they come up with now will be the same. Bear in mind that these are financial numbers. They're just numbers, and I don't see how the numbers can persuade anyone as far as conflict of interest. So I find that I don't necessarily agree with your position on that fact. So I look forward to supporting this issue. I urge my colleagues to do that. We can't afford to kick the can down the road, which is now a common saying. We have to take a look at our pension systems. We have to figure out what to do. So I will support this, and I urge my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
Councilmember Bradford.
I just want to make my point clear here. I'm not asserting that RHI has a conflict of interest, so there's nothing to disagree with, Councilmember. I'm simply raising a question of whether the vetting has been done. The mayor's assured me the vetting has been done. I think we should move forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I know the answer to this, but this item is before us as a result of the budget process we went through, right? So this is something that Council discussed, voted on, and we're at least taking action as we said we would.
Yes, sir. Administration was already moving in this direction, but we absolutely believe that this falls within the budget amendment that Council passed.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. But beyond that, it's also my understanding that it's required by state law for us to conduct this analysis every 5 years, correct?
Not precisely, Councilmember. There needs to be an audit, and often in the past, we have simply relied on audits performed by the pensions. And we believe it is appropriate to do our own independent look rather than simply accept the numbers that they provide to us. But yes, one has to be done every 5 years, at least every 5 years. It can be done more often.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council members? Moving to a vote on the item. Favoring, opposed?
No.
Item carries. Councilmember Brown voting no.